Hi there, I'm Adrian Atkinson. Thanks for joining us for Jamaica Magazine. On the show today, a deeper understanding of the Jamaica House Fellowship Programme. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Tessan, and I want all you young people to listen to me very carefully. Crime doesn't pay. You can do so much with your life. Don't throw it away in some gang. Stay in school and work hard for what it is you want. It's up to you. Your future will be determined by the decisions you make. Remember, a gang is a dead end.
A message from the Ministry of National Security.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your GIS News for Friday, June 30. The Ministry of Education has dispersed subventions totaling over $1.4 billion to secondary schools for the 2017-2018 academic year. This was announced by Portfolio Minister Senator Ruel Reid at a post-cabinet briefing on Wednesday. This is the first of 4 tranches to be paid for the period.
And all schools that are due for funding from the government by virtue of schedule, all those payments have been made from early childhood to high school. All path payments, feeding payments, and other grants have been made.
Minister Reid says the budget to purchase furniture for teachers and students has been increased from $75 to $200 million. 35,000 pieces of furniture will be bought for the new academic year, and distribution is to commence before July 31. It was also announced at this week's post-cabinet press briefing that 427 acres of idle lands located in St. Catherine are to be converted for commercial and residential purposes. This follows Cabinet's approval of the sale of the lands by SCJ Holdings Limited.
The lands which have long been out of use for agriculture are to be converted for residential and commercial purposes to generate development and employment.
The Information Minister says the lands are to be sold at market price, with ALF Investments Limited purchasing the largest parcel, 300 acres. New Era Homes is buying 97, while 30 acres is being sold to Malark Management Services Limited. SCJ Holdings Limited will also enter into a lease agreement with Megamart Wholesale Club and Associates for approximately 40 acres with the option to purchase. Cornwall Regional Hospital's Special Care Nursery, SCN, has been relocated to the 7th floor following reports of poor air quality issues affecting the area. The SCN was housed on the 6th floor of the hospital, and on Tuesday, nurses in the unit called in sick, prompting the implementation of emergency measures. Medical officers and senior nursing officers were asked to manage the activities of the nursery, and all 14 babies were successfully transferred to the 7th floor Wednesday morning. The full complement of nursing staff of the Special Care Nursery reported for duties on Thursday. Cornwall Regional Hospital has been recently plagued by air quality issues that have caused several departments to be relocated, with plans underway to replace its ventilation system. Overall, the Health Ministry says there has been a dramatic decline in reports of symptoms associated with air quality issues since renovation started. Retailers are being warned that they could face stiff penalties for non-compliance with the new labeling and packaging standards for sugar sold in the local market. Effective July 1, all sugar being sold to the public should be packaged, sealed, and labeled. All pre-packers must also be registered with the National Compliance and Regulatory Authority, NCRA. Speaking at a JIS think tank this week, the authority's director, Oreen Henry, said there were provisions in place to penalize those who breach the standards.
We have penalties under the Standards Act, which is a $3 million fine and 12 months in prison at the discretion of a resident magistrate. Of course, it has to go through the court, but there are penalties.
The move is in keeping with the revised mandatory standards for brown cane sugar, gazetted on December 30 last year. The revised mandatory standards require the removal of some grain sizes, inclusion of more detailed labeling requirements, and an obligation to ensure there is no foreign matter in the sugar that may compromise food safety or be hazardous to health. And finally, Communication and Social Marketing Coordinator at the Citizen Security and Justice Programme, Patrice Neveu, is calling for more employers to join them and provide opportunities for the youth.
In order to make a difference in terms of crime and violence in our country, we need to call on public and the private sector to open their doors to these youngsters.
Mrs. Neveu was speaking at a JIS think tank on Wednesday. CSJP3 is a multifaceted crime prevention program of the Ministry of National Security that's implemented in 50 communities across 8 parishes. It provides a suite of services aimed at reducing young people's risk of being involved in crime and violence and increasing their ability to become productive citizens. Phase 3 is set to end in 2019. More than 5,000 persons have benefited since its implementation in 2014. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
It's surely a good feeling when it rains and your bed is dry. That generally happens when you have a storm-proof roof. Here are a few tips to secure your roof. Watch this.
Pitched, flat, arched, or gabled. It's the last uppermost line of defense against the elements. Vital cover for your valuable possessions in the face of nature's fury. Roofs are essential to a complete, properly constructed house, and in climates like ours, must be laid to withstand destructive tropical cyclones, not least among them hurricanes. Emergency management experts say after the visit of one of these elements, the island usually faces severe economic loss as a result of roofs being destroyed.
After Gustav, after Ivan, after Hurricane Dean, a large number of homes, certainly in the rural areas, have sustained significant damage, from minor to severe damage, including total losses. So of course, if you were to apply the replacement value on that, it is significantly high.
The 3 main types of roofs that we have in common practice today are concrete, timber, and a combination of those two with other materials.
The hip end roof is perhaps the best design to use. It gives you a greater incline, which allows the wind energy to dissipate while going over it rather than going under, thus lifting the roof, causing the roof to pop off. And then you have the gable roof, which is the next best roof.
Importantly, straps are needed.
When the OPM team goes into communities after an event and we do the damage assessment, we've noticed that a number of these homes are without hurricane straps. The roofs are not properly designed, and the damage is quite significant.
To make sure that that member would not be dislodged or come off during high winds, it is bolted or attached or screwed to a perimeter wall plate. The structural members, which are the timber joists, are attached to the wall plates with twisted metal straps or U-straps or other fixtures involving wooden screws of those metals. Hurricanes differ in their velocity or speed of the winds that might affect our buildings. So you've got to make sure that the structural integrity of the members are sufficient to bear the pressure that a hurricane wind would place on a roof.
Concrete roofs generally prove more difficult to destroy in a hurricane, but if improperly laid, are just as vulnerable to grave damage.
There's a great misconception about the concrete roof being all that waterproof. But from time to time, depending on the mix and the maintenance of the roof, water could pond on the roof and soak through cracks that would appear because of shrinkages that take place. So you've got to be careful and make sure that you provide an impervious layer to the concrete.
So before one slabs, an engineer must be consulted. The correct procedures must be adhered to protect your roof and the valuables it protects.
This is a clay tile that is often used on certain types of residential construction. It's impervious, it will not contribute to fire, and properly secured with fastenings, it will withstand most hurricanes. It was not desirable to lay flat because the water would go into them. This is another example of the sheeting that is commonly used on residential buildings. It's extruded aluminium sheeting. You see where the V goes up, there's a wooden fillet that is placed there, and each of those are secured by a screw. That enables the roof to stay on even with high winds. These are examples of the shrinkage cracks that you can get in your concrete slab. This slab roof has been rendered since it's been constructed. Yet still, from time to time, you will still get these shrinkage cracks. And once they're there, water can percolate through.
If you're a business owner, you would have invested heavily in your business operations. And what you don't want is to have to stop operating immediately after a major event. If you lose your roofing, then certainly your investments are going to be damaged significantly, and it will set you back for some time as you seek to recover from these operations. If you're a homeowner, certainly you don't want to be displaced during a major event. It is the most uncomfortable kind of scenario.
Nominations are now open for the 2017 Prime Minister's Youth Awards for Excellence. Persons 15 to 29 years old may apply and be recognized for their work in 11 exciting categories. There's also a Jamaica 55 commemorative category for youth engaged in community-based volunteerism. Access nomination forms by visiting moey.gov.jm, youthjamaica.com, or any youth information center across the island. Nominations close August 31.
The Office of the Prime Minister recently established the Jamaica House Fellowship Programme so that qualified young persons can get the opportunity to grow professionally while contributing to nation building. Up next, a look at the first cohort.
We believe that young people, like myself, we are the driving force of the world, and whatever we put our minds to and whatever we put our hands to, it shall turn into gold.
They are some of Jamaica's brightest, young people with a resolve to make a change, to be the difference, to help Jamaica move forward. These are the Jamaica House Fellows 2017. The Jamaica House Fellowship Programme, launched on March 8, 2017, is the brainchild of Prime Minister Andrew Holness. Its mission? To offer exceptional Jamaicans the opportunity to grow professionally while contributing to national development.
I think I owe it to the generations that are coming, that we find a way to bring in the best and the brightest into government. Because ultimately what you want to do is to create a public service that represents the best of Jamaica.
The program received an overwhelming 128 applicants.
So we had to therefore make the system as rigorous as possible so that we were fair to everyone.
So after a 5-stage selection process, 8 of the applicants, including 1 seconded from a private sector company, emerged successful for the first cohort of the 2-year program. Scholars with a track record of service to their fellow Jamaicans, selected from the best locally and in the diaspora.
It is an amazing initiative, actually. I was finishing up my degree in the United Kingdom when I saw the opportunity, and it just, I don't know how to describe it, it was just perfect. What you're doing is getting young people involved in policy making. You're somewhat taking people out of the private sector and hoping that they would come to government to contribute.
23-year-old Lavoie Cruikshank has a master's in financial economics with honors from the University of Birmingham in the UK, a program he pursued with scholarships from the UK University and Jamaica National. He now volunteers as a math tutor at his alma mater Calabar High School and works with several non-profit organizations, including Jaya Khan, as he lives out his philosophy: whether you live to be 50 or 100 makes no difference if you've made no difference in the world.
That philosophy I read when I was about 17, and I've always had an interest in government, particularly because they are the persons responsible for impacting people.
My name is Aubrey Stewart, a young man from an inner-city community in Montego Bay. The culture of my community was that young men were marginalized and shunned by society because of our neighborhood, the way we looked and the way we spoke. But I stand here not as a product of that culture, but as a realization of hope.
Aubrey Stewart spoke these words as he opened his speech in introduction of former President of the United States Barack Obama during a state visit to the island in 2015. From an early age, Aubrey decided that his circumstances would not determine his destiny.
I've decided to dedicate my life to service and service to my country. So I'm just doing whatever it takes to make a difference. I'd established my own organization called the Youth Organization for Upliftment. And after establishing that group in 2009, we had received an MTV Still Life Foundation grant of $2 million. And from that grant, we were able to do HIV projects across Jamaica. And then it opened doors for many other opportunities.
Aubrey has spearheaded numerous other projects and initiatives through groups such as the Rujan Foundation in the United States and the MTV Staying Alive Foundation in England. And now that he's a Jamaica House Fellow,
it cannot be that I'm just here to work and get paid, but what can I give that can contribute to the transition of something? So everything that as I've been here, I've kept that in mind, and as all the fellows, we have kept that in mind to say that this is what we're here to do. We're here to make that change.
like Aubrey, our next Jamaica House Fellow Jerome Cowens rose from an inner city community. He is now one of the region's most recognized youth development specialists, earning him this recognition in 2015.
Jerome Cowens grew up in a tough part of Kingston. Where's Jerome? When Jerome was 12, he saw a friend gunned down. When he looked at the shooters, he said, I realized that wasn't a life I wanted to live. They had expensive machinery, but they had nothing else. So at the ripe old age of 13, he founded a youth group to help others like him stay on the right path. And he started small with only 6 people, but they had one big thing in common, and they believed that change was possible.
The youth group Jerome started, Leaders Endeavoring for Adolescent Development, LEAD, offers personal development programs aimed at helping youth in inner city communities stay away from a life of crime and violence. The LEAD youth group has since grown from 1 to 6 chapters in Jamaica and as far away as Colombia. His outstanding community service has earned him several honors. International standouts include becoming the first Jamaican recipient of the Nelson Mandela Innovation Award in South Africa and the Young Leaders Award from the Queen of England for his work throughout the Commonwealth. He's also the recipient of the 2015 Chevening Scholarship, through which he pursued a master's degree at the University of Birmingham in the UK. Now a Jamaica House Fellow, Jerome has high praises for the program.
The mere fact that it's non-partisan, it was fair selection process, I think it's something very good for the young people of Jamaica. You're talking about reading cabinet submissions, you're talking about looking at issues. The other day I was at the airport welcoming an ambassador from Israel. No other job, I don't think, will give me these opportunities.
There's nothing ordinary in the living of each day. There's a special part for every one of us to play.
Our next Jamaica House Fellow, Sharona Forrester, is an all-rounder. Jamaica's Rhodes Scholar for 2016, member of the Jamaica National Senior Women's Football Team, Reggae Girls, and co-founder of the Jamaica Youth Chorale.
In 10 years, I see myself as a philanthropist because that is ultimately my goal. I really want to give back, especially to youth in sports and arts, because I believe that those two institutions have molded the character that I am today.
She speaks of the benefits of being on the Jamaica House Fellowship Programme.
There are a lot of aspiring young leaders who don't necessarily know what goes on behind the scenes. And as I always say, knowledge is power. And exposing us to this kind of environment can only be better for the country on a whole.
The other female Jamaica House Fellow, Carol Samuda, shares similar sentiments about the program.
One of the things it does is that it creates a pipeline for young people to be interested in that area of work, whether it's in the private sector, international development, or public sector. I think it's good to be targeted and focused in trying to attract young, creative, innovative, smart talent to public service here in Jamaica.
Now a PhD candidate at George Mason University in Virginia, Carol returned to the island to join the fellowship program. She has a wealth of international working experience as an intern with the World Bank, the Inter-American Development Bank, and the Organization of American States, and a member of the Caribbean Youth Summit's founding committee. From as long as he can remember, 24-year-old Andre Silburn always had a burning interest in contributing to nation building. A lawyer by profession and former adjunct law lecturer at the University of the Commonwealth Caribbean, he looks forward to contributing to the drafting of policies as a Jamaica House Fellow.
I am dedicated to the task of being a civil servant where I can serve my country in the best way I can.
Always seeking to help the less fortunate, Andre is the founder of an academic bursary at his high school alma mater, Women's Boys School, and an associate of the Royal Commonwealth Society Jamaica chapter. He's a recipient of the Governor-General's Award for Excellence for St. Catherine and the UWI Open Scholarship, among other awards. Charged with leading the young team of fellows is Mark Tracy.
It's the first time, I think, for Jamaica where we see where you have young minds, and you know, they call us the brilliant minds of Jamaica, coming together with the policymakers and allowing the policymakers to take our recommendations and implement them as they go along. So within 2 months, I've seen that already.
An experienced financial economist who has worked with the International Monetary Fund, IMF, and the Bank of Jamaica, Mark was seconded from Jamaica Money Market Brokers to the Office of the Prime Minister, where in addition to being a Jamaica House Fellow, he's Senior Economic Advisor to Ambassador Dr. Nigel Clark.
I want to be in a situation where I see where I would have made an impact in terms of the development, the economic development of Jamaica, where we see, for example, the whole notion of the 5 in 4 being pushed to the next level, where we see real growth in the economy and seeing where policies that I would have helped in crafting come to light. And for the younger persons in the program that I lead, for them to learn and become the melting pot in terms of understanding all the different ministries and being a part of the overall thrust forward in terms of leadership in the country.
The 8th Jamaica House Fellow, Christopher Graham, now a doctoral candidate at the University of Massachusetts in Boston, will soon join the program. A policy and governance professional, Christopher has worked on several projects mapping the 20th century economic and commercial history of Jamaica and the wider Caribbean. Christopher strongly believes in giving back to the country and sees the Jamaica House Fellowship Programme as a great opportunity to be exposed to public service. This first cohort of Jamaica House Fellows is highly trained in the areas of management, politics, economics, and law, but the next selection in 2019 will seek to reflect other areas of expertise.
More and more government is also about technology, ICT, information technology. So we really need to incorporate that in the selection process on the next go around to make sure that those skills are brought in.
The Jamaica House Fellowship Programme, encouraging the practical involvement of outstanding young Jamaicans in the policy decision-making process at the highest levels of government.
Nutritious food, succulent dishes, superior workmanship, and excellent service. Jamaica is on the go. Let's grow what we eat and eat what we grow. Let's harness the indomitable spirit of our most valued resource, our people. Let's support our local businesses. After all, buying Jamaican means building Jamaica.
Original.
Stand up and get in the race.
I can become the master of my destiny.
Step up your stride, make we work like a harder. Do it like Veronica, more than a supper.
We can rise above the challenges and shine.
Was with passion in your heart. Make a plan and stop all the hyping. You think I saw? We reach a the aging. I can, you can. Like our Olympians, every Jamaican can.
Tomorrow, the entire world will commemorate a special musical genre created by us. Yes, us, the Jamaican people. It's International Reggae Day 2017. This is a 24-hour global media festival hosted annually on July 1. The observation seeks to highlight the best of Jamaica's creativity to uplift, inspire, and unite the worldwide reggae community. This is a special occasion for the nation, as less than 2 years ago, Kingston, the birthplace of reggae, was designated a creative city of music by UNESCO. The Culture Ministry is inviting all reggae lovers to come on down tomorrow to the waterfront for the International Reggae Day Kingston Festival Street Dance. The fantastic lineup of activities are designed to inspire one love, peace and environmental activism across the world. Let's throw our support behind the country's creative industry, as it's one of several gateways that will ensure Jamaica is the place of choice to live, work, raise families, and do business.
We want a productive Jamaica. We are not productive Jamaicans. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity is the way to go for all us Jamaicans. Small business, big business, old and young, we are tell every woman and man. We want growth and prosperity for a better nation with a building plan. So we can build our product and sell our product and put more money in our hand. Our economy can rise to a level and build a better nation. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity to move forward on this land. Productivity, that's the way to go, we should understand. Productivity.
Productivity, pathway to prosperity. A message brought to you by the Jamaica Productivity Center, a department of the Ministry of Labor and Social Security.
This is where the magazine closes for today, but there's lots more to see on our webpage, jis.gov.jm. There you may find relevant information on government projects and policies. For more television features, visit our YouTube channel. We're also on other social media sites, or you may download our app from the Google Play Store to stay informed while you're on the go. I'm Adrian Atkinson. Have yourselves a wonderful weekend.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.